Let's not kid ourselves here. RPGs are boring.
Well, judging by this, I can tell it's going to be a great video.
They drag on and on with the same mediocre type plots and styles.
So, apparently, a story about a kid who finds a meteor with a bee in it telling him to save the world is the same as a guy who's from an island where he meets a bunch of Disney characters after going through some warp thingy. Makes perfect sense.
Whether it be the Japanese fascination about underage protagonists on Epic Quest dealing with girly men and their own perils of angst and fashion problems.
These characters look nothing like what you're describing, and Mother is one of the most Japanese-style RPGs that there is.
Or the West's obsession with space-age quests that try really hard to not be like Star Wars, but end up doing so.
In all honesty, I don't usually play, Western RPGs, so I don't really know if that's true or not.
Or this other need for another epic quest set in ye old medieval England, around the time Arthur accepts swords from water whores. Now, have you ever found yourself thinking, why not just nut the fucker before he can complete his magical demon summon thing?
You know, I could say the same thing about Pokemon and, Solar Beam, you know?
While stuck in the same tedious turn-based battle you had for taking one step forward. Now I do admit, only 4 RPGs can contain elements of goodness.
Well, there's Mother 1, 2, and 3. There's Paper Mario 1, 2, and 3. Well, I don't really consider the third one to be an RPG, though, since it's not really an RPG. And Pokemon, there's like a ton of Pokemon games that are all different. So, yeah, that's way more than just 4.
Those being Paper Mario 2, Pokemon. Which one? Doesn't really matter, they're all the same thing.
Well, in yellow, you get a Pikachu behind you. In Pokemon Stadium, it's completely different, and there's so many differences, it's hard to say. Pokemon Battle Revolution, well, that game sucked ass, so I'm not gonna mention it. In Soul Silver, you have whatever Pokemon's in the first in your party, it'll follow you. And in a lot of others, you take place in different regions with different Pokemons. I don't really see too much of a resemblance besides gameplay.
Phantasy Star Online, and Fable. The rest are the kind of games I avoid more than Superman likes being near kryptonite. So, I offer RPGs and HDG! Yeah, that was sad. To make them playable, enjoyable, and at the end of this video, I offer you 3 ideas if I made an RPG. Better grab those recovery potions.
Screw you, I'm sticking with peanut butter cheese bars.
This one's gonna touch a nerve. Step 1. Little less conversation. One of my biggest problems with RPGs, either Western or Japanese, is the game feels more like a storybook. I find myself wafting through page after page of meaningless dialogue and NPC character development that it's pointless.
Not all of the dialogue is pointless. If you were to pay attention, you would realize that some of the dialogue is foreshadowing, character development for characters you're going to be sticking with, and therefore you would want to have development for them. And also, some of the pointless dialogue is just fun.
What is the point of all this reading? In my experience, you should only do this much reading if you're in school or a newscaster, and neither of those things should be merged with video gaming, because video games are supposed to be fun!
That's the point of RPGs, that they're supposed to be like storybooks. They're telling a story after all. In fact, most RPGs have better stories than most other games because that's what they're supposed to be focusing on, and that's what they do focus on. Not to mention that most RPGs have some of the greatest music of all time that are from video games.
Not reading something that has more dialogue than a play written by William Shakespeare. At least with Fable they put voice acting in so you can listen rather than read. Provided they don't have the same amount of emotions as Microsoft's Sam. Step 2. Turn-based battles. Well, it wouldn't be an RPG without turn-based battles, would it? But they are something that need to go.
You just said that it wouldn't be an RPG without the turn-based, but then you say you want all RPGs to not have the turn-based, which would make it not an RPG. So you want to wipe RPGs out of existence.
I never understood the point of everyone standing in a straight line and get roasted by a large monster without dodging it. Or how about when they take a large sword, ram it into something, and miss? Turn-based battles are the elements that artificially inflate an RPG to make them longer. Without them and side quests, the entire game would last about 20 minutes.
No, it wouldn't, because in games like Earthbound where you have the insta-kill, you can pretty much just insta-kill your way through a lot of areas after over-leveling by insta-killing. So basically, you can almost always insta-kill your way through the game. It's actually kind of funny, but it doesn't make it any shorter. I mean, there's the backtracking, there's the getting through the extremely large worlds, and yeah, you've got a lot to do in an RPG other than just fighting.
The only form of turn-based battles I actually had any fun with was the Mega Man Battle Network series. Maybe someone at Capcom had an idea. What if they could dodge? Jimmy, you've been promoted. So, the notion of a grid where you can move up and down, back and forth was so clever and inventive. Haha! Go fuck yourself, Final Fantasy! No! But wait, if I made such a nice comment about the Battle Network series, why isn't it in my fave list? Well, because it suffers from the instigation of turn-based battles. The random encounters! There are so many of them that it stopped being funny when you've used all your health potions. You still have 1 HP when you finally confront the boss of the area.
Well, DCE, you seem to forget that there's a thing called a shop where you can buy items that heal you once you get there. But wait, you just said you ran out. Well, in most RPGs you sometimes have spells that can heal yourself, which you can use. And also, you can't get to there without full health, then you need to level up by grinding. Though usually when grinding you can just go to an older area and just sit there and mash the A button while the enemies are there because you can pretty much kill them all the time. Or with Earthbound, you get to use the insta-kill! God, I love the insta-kill.
Objection!
Step 3. Typical characters. Stop me if you've heard any of these before. A spiky-haired, angst-ridden parasite aged between 12 and 18. A short brown-haired man with a wrestling physique. A male who dresses like a girl and sounds like a pedo. Another teenage thing but has boobs and very little clothing.
I don't know, this character doesn't really look like she's very little clothed.
Fans. Step 4. Adding RPG elements to something doesn't equal good idea. Something that never gets better is the notion of taking a well-established franchise which never had anything to do with rather pointless games and adding those elements to them. Mega Man X was a series I really enjoyed and it didn't have a lot of faults. Then came Command Mission, a game that could have worked better as a side-scroller shooter, which is what Mega Man is all about.
Unfortunately, I haven't played Command Mission or Mega Man X yet, so I have nothing to say.